Seth Rollins just crossed a line that can never be uncrossed. Paul Heyman was attacked backstage, and the tribal chief is about to declare war. What is going on, Suplex Rumble family? Welcome back to the premier destination for professional wrestling breakdowns. If this is your first time here, you need to subscribe right now because we're about to dissect one of the most shocking attacks in recent WWE history. Seth Rollins just put his hands on Paul Heyman backstage on Raw, and family, the ramifications of this assault are going to be seismic. The Wiseman has been attacked, and you know what that means. Let's break this down from every angle. Suplex Rumble family, before we get into the attack itself, we need to understand the powder keg of tension that's been building for weeks. Seth Rollins has been on an absolute mission lately. The visionary, the revolutionary, the architect, whatever you want to call him, has been laser focused on making a statement and climbing back to the top of the mountain. Seth is a former world champion multiple times over, and he's made it abundantly clear that he's not satisfied being anywhere except in the main event picture. But here's where things get complicated: the bloodline. This faction has had its fingers in everything happening on both Raw and SmackDown. And at the center of the bloodline's power structure is Paul Heyman, the special counsel, the Wiseman, the advocate, the strategist behind so much of their success. Paul Heyman is one of the greatest minds in professional wrestling history. This man has managed legends, created legendary moments, and his ability to manipulate situations to benefit his clients is unmatched. He's not just a mouthpiece, he's a mastermind. Now, Seth and the bloodline have had their issues brewing for quite some time. Whether it's been interference in Seth's matches, bloodline members getting opportunities that Seth felt he deserved, or just the general frustration of watching the bloodline dominate the landscape, the tension has been real. Leading up to Raw, Seth had been vocal in interviews and on social media about how the bloodline's time at the top was coming to an end. He promised that he was going to dismantle their power structure piece by piece. But nobody expected this. The atmosphere backstage at Raw was already electric with anticipation. Multiple storylines converging, championship implications on the line, and then Seth Rollins decided to light the whole thing on fire. Here's where things get absolutely insane. Suplex Rumble family. Paul Heyman was backstage, reportedly in a production area or near the Bloodline's locker room, possibly on his phone or coordinating strategy with members of the faction. By all accounts, Heyman was completely unaware of what was about to happen. Seth Rollins comes out of nowhere. No music, no announcement, no warning, just pure aggression. Seth storms into the area and immediately gets in Paul Heyman's face. The Wiseman, showing that survival instinct he's famous for, immediately tries to talk his way out of the situation. And you know Paul Heyman can talk. This man has talked his way out of confrontations for decades. He's reasoning with Seth, trying to negotiate, probably offering something, making promises, doing what Paul Heyman does best. But Seth? Seth is done talking. According to eyewitness reports from backstage personnel, Seth grabbed Paul Heyman by his suit jacket and slammed him against the wall. The look in Seth's eyes was reportedly terrifying. This wasn't just anger, this was calculated rage. This was a man making a statement. Paul Heyman is pleading, trying to reason, but Seth is relentless. He's screaming at Heyman, telling him that the bloodline's protection won't save him anymore, that their empire is crumbling, and that this is just the beginning. Then, and this is where it gets brutal, family, Seth delivers a super kick right to Paul Heyman's jaw. The Wiseman crumples to the ground. Security and other wrestlers immediately rush in to separate them, but the damage is done. Seth isn't finished though. He's fighting against the people holding him back, screaming threats, making it clear that anyone associated with the bloodline is now a target. It takes multiple people to finally get Seth out of the area. Meanwhile, Paul Heyman is on the ground, holding his face, clearly in pain, and you can see the shock on his face. This man has been in the wrestling business for over 3 decades, but getting physically attacked still rocks him to his core. Medical personnel immediately attend to Heyman, checking for injuries, while backstage producers are frantically trying to figure out what just happened and what to do next. Suplex Rumble family, let's talk about what this means, because attacking Paul Heyman is like kicking a hornet's nest the size of a house. You attack Paul Heyman, you attack the bloodline. There's no way this goes unanswered. The tribal chief doesn't tolerate disrespect, and putting hands on his special counsel is the ultimate disrespect. Seth Rollins just painted a massive target on his back. We're talking about potential retaliation that could be swift and brutal. The bloodline has the numbers, they have the power, and they have the motivation. Seth better be watching his back every single second because payback is coming. This attack shows us something crucial about where Seth's head is at right now. This isn't the calculated architect we've known. This is a man who's willing to do whatever it takes to achieve his goals. He's desperate, he's dangerous, and he clearly doesn't care about the consequences. Attacking a non-wrestler, especially someone as high-profile as Paul Heyman, shows that Seth has thrown the rulebook out the window. This could lead to suspensions, fines, or other disciplinary actions from WWE management, but Seth clearly doesn't care. For months, the bloodline has operated with impunity. They've done what they wanted, when they wanted, because everyone was too intimidated to stand up to them. Seth just showed the entire roster that the bloodline isn't untouchable. He showed that if you're willing to accept the consequences, you can strike back. This could embolden other superstars to take action against the bloodline. We might see the formation of alliances, the creation of a united front against the bloodline's dominance. Seth might have just sparked a revolution. This attack puts Heyman in a vulnerable position. His whole persona is built on being the genius strategist who stays out of physical harm's way. Getting laid out backstage damages that aura of untouchability. Other enemies of the bloodline might see this as an opportunity to target the weakest link in the chain. Let's add some historical perspective here, Suplex Rumble family, because attacks on managers and advocates have always created massive moments in wrestling history. Throughout wrestling history, when a competitor attacks a manager or mouthpiece, it elevates the feud to a completely different level. It becomes personal in a way that in-ring competition alone can't achieve. It crosses a line that fundamentally changes the dynamic between all parties involved. Paul Heyman specifically has been involved in some of the most memorable confrontations in WWE history. He's been attacked, humiliated, and put through tables by some of the biggest names in the business. But each time, it's led to incredible storytelling and unforgettable moments. The wrestling community's reaction to this attack has been explosive. Social media went into overdrive within minutes. Fans are debating whether Seth went too far or if this was exactly what needed to happen. The hashtags are trending worldwide, and everyone has an opinion. Some fans are praising Seth for finally taking the fight directly to the bloodline in a way that truly hurts them. They're saying this is the kind of aggressive, take-no-prisoners attitude that makes Seth Rollins a top star. Other fans are concerned about the precedent this sets. If superstars start regularly attacking non-competitors, where does it end? What about referees, announcers, or other backstage personnel? It's a legitimate ethical question within the context of wrestling storylines. Wrestling analysts are already comparing this to historic manager attacks and discussing where this ranks in terms of shock value and impact. Some are calling it one of the most significant moments of the year. The Bloodline's fanbase, and they have a massive following, are calling for Seth's head. They want justice. They want to see Seth pay for his actions in the most painful way possible. Alright, Suplex Rumble family, let's get into predictions because this story is far from over. Expect the Bloodline to respond quickly. We're talking about a coordinated assault on Seth Rollins at the very next opportunity. Whether it's a parking lot attack, an ambush during his entrance, or something even more sinister, retaliation is coming. WWE management can't ignore this. Adam Pearce or whoever is in charge of Raw is going to have to address this situation. Do they suspend Seth? Fine him? Book him in a match where he has to face consequences? The authority figure's response will shape the next chapter of this story. This is clearly building to a major confrontation. Seth Rollins versus the Tribal Chief with Paul Heyman's honor on the line. This could be a WrestleMania-level match, or it could happen sooner at a premium live event. Either way, when these two finally collide one-on-one, it's going to be epic. Given the personal nature of this feud now, we might see special stipulations. Heyman on a pole match? Just kidding, family, but seriously, maybe a street fight, a no disqualification match, or even a stipulation where Heyman must be at ringside. The storytelling possibilities are endless. Here's my bold take: what if this attack causes Paul Heyman to re-evaluate his position? What if the physical trauma makes him question his loyalty to the bloodline? Now, I'm not saying Heyman turns on the Tribal Chief, that seems unlikely, but what if doubt creeps in? What if Seth's attack was strategic, designed to create a crack in the bloodline's foundation? I also wouldn't be surprised if we see other superstars capitalizing on this chaos. When there's blood in the water, sharks start circling. Other people with grudges against the bloodline might see this as the perfect time to strike. Suplex Rumble family, Seth Rollins just changed the entire landscape of WWE with one brutal attack. Paul Heyman is hurt, the bloodline is furious, and the collision course we're on is going to be spectacular. This is the kind of storytelling that reminds us why we love professional wrestling. The drama, the intensity, the stakes, everything just got turned up to 11, and we're here for every second of it. We'll be covering every single development of this story right here on Suplex Rumble. You don't want to miss what happens next because this is must-see television. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button. It helps the channel tremendously and lets me know you want more content like this. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you're always first to know when we upload. Comment below with your predictions. How does the bloodline respond? Does Seth go too far? What match do you want to see come from this? Let's discuss, family. Follow Suplex Rumble on all social media platforms for exclusive content, polls, and community interaction. All links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching and being part of this amazing community. I'll see you in the next video where we continue bringing you the best wrestling analysis on YouTube. Until then, stay passionate, stay engaged, and remember, in professional wrestling, chaos creates opportunity. This is Suplex Rumble, and I'll catch you next time.